What's going on, guys? This is Iram Saenz. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing real estate lingo that you need to learn. But before I get into that, if you don't know who I am, again, my name is Iram Saenz. I'm a 21-year-old real estate entrepreneur from Phoenix, Arizona. I started in the business about 5 years ago and have helped scale our company to over 7 figures, as well as managing our flips, our rentals, and other businesses. All right, so let's get into it. A lot of these words and abbreviations that I'm going to be using are terms that we use in wholesaling real estate. And if you're in the business of real estate, you really got to learn these things if you want to present yourself as a seasoned investor and wholesaler. So for the first one, we have ARV, which stands for after repair value. All that means is after your property is fully remodeled and going to be listed on the market, that is what the after repair value is. The after repair value is found by comparing it to other properties in that area that are, fully remodeled, decked out, and are similar to yours, so you're able to get this number down. It's in the name itself, after repair value. For the second one, we have MAO, which stands for max available offer. Now, this is a term that we mostly use when numbers are tight on a deal. We usually don't recommend our sales guys to use this too often because we want to create bigger spreads. We don't want them to go and offer the max offer. We want them to shoot an offer that's going to make 30 to 40K on the deal. But max available offer is just the most that you can offer on a property, so you are able to make a profit. Next, we have POF, which just stands for proof of funds. And as wholesalers, we don't really have to use this too much, but in the case that a seller is asking you for proof of funds, I'm going to be making a future video on how to acquire this so you seem legitimate and are able to close on the deal if this is an issue. Next, we have FV, which stands for full value, and this goes hand in hand with after repair value, and it's just the full value of the property once it's fully remodeled. It's just the max number that the property is going to sell at the market. Next, we have COE, which stands for close of escrow. Whenever you're dealing with the buyers or the assignees, they're going to ask you when is COE, and all they mean is when do they need to close on the property. So COE, close of escrow. Next, and this is one of the common ones that we use, it's called EMD. This is something that refers to both the seller and the buyer, and it stands for earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit is just a deposit that you put down to secure the deal. Usually it's non-refundable, meaning that if you are able to close on the deal, then you are refunded that money. But if for any reason you are to cancel and don't have a contingency, which I'll get into, then the seller gets to keep your EMD. Or if in the case that you're dealing with the buyer, you get to keep the EMD because the buyer failed to close. Next, we have PA, which stands for purchase agreement. And this is just the original contract that you have with the seller. And sometimes the buyer is going to be asking you, hey, can you send me the original PA, because they want to look over all the terms. Because as the buyer, they're not only agreeing to the assignment contract, but they're agreeing to the terms that are on the original PA, which is the purchase agreement. Up next is contingency. Now, contingency is something that is included into the purchase agreement or assignment contract. And all that means is that, so in the case that the seller is asking for specific terms and doesn't want to sell unless you are able to do something for them, that is what contingency means. It's dependent on something happening in order for you guys to fully fulfill the agreement. For example, if the seller is looking to find a new property and the contract is contingent on them finding that new property, if you don't find them that property, then technically the purchase agreement is voided. We usually don't like to use these contingency periods or contingency options, but if in the case that you do, you at least know what it means. Next is inspection. So an inspection is just a time period for viewing the property, whether it's in your case working with the seller or the buyer working with you. Sometimes these buyers will ask for an inspection period, and it almost goes hand in hand with the contingency. So during this inspection period, if they find anything that's wrong with the property, then they have the option to back out. We don't like to use inspection periods with the buyer. We like them to do all their due diligence before assigning the contract, so we are confident that they are going to execute on the agreement. Next, we have PP, which means purchase price. The purchase price is the price that you agreed on with the seller. It'll be listed on the original agreement, and it's as simple as that. So next, we have off market. Off market just means that the property was never listed on the market or with an agent or for sale by owner. This is a property that was found off the market, and this can be a lead that you cold called, a lead that you got on PPC or SEO. Off market just means that the property was never listed. You found this property by reaching directly to the seller or the homeowner. Next, we have comps, which is short for comparables. Now, this is what you are going to look at when finding the ARV of your property. So whenever you are running your numbers, making sure that you have a correct ARV, you're going to be looking at comparables, which are properties that are similar to yours whether they're the same year build, same square footage, bed and bath count, and also in the same subdivision. You want to make sure that you're looking at properties that are almost identical to ours, or at least very similar, to use as your comps. You can't really compare a single family home to a duplex or a triplex, so make sure you understand what comps are and what you can actually use for as comps. Next, we have CC, which just stands for closing costs. So a lot of the time a buyer will be asking who is going to be paying the CCs. We always tell the end buyer that they pay both buyer and seller closing costs, and it's typical in wholesaling, so they should understand that already. But in the case that they ask you for CC, it just stands for closing cost. Next, we have transparent. I'm sure most of you already know what this word means. This is something that's used in real estate a lot to gain another party's trust, and all that means is you're being upfront, that you're being clear about everything, and that you're just being completely honest. Our acquisition guys use the word transparent with the seller so they know that they are in good hands. Transparency is one of our core values, so we like to use it with both the seller and the buyer parties. Next, we have net. Now, all this means is, after all the expenses are paid, after all the debt is paid, what is the net profit that somebody is going to make? For example, if the seller has a mortgage of $60,000 and we're paying them $120,000, their net profit is $60,000 because after all their debt is paid off, we're netting them the $60,000. So that's all net means. And then gross would be the 120,000. So gross profit would be the 120. And that is, what are they getting up front before the debt is paid, before all the expenses, before everything. So gross is before, net is after everything is paid off and they are receiving that exact amount. Next, we have retail. Retail just means that a property is either selling for or getting an asking price of the full value of a home. If the seller is asking $280 for a property and it's worth $280, $290, they're asking retail. Next, we have commission. Now, commission is only used when a realtor is involved in the transaction. So let's say the seller wants to sell, but they have a realtor helping them with the transaction and they want the realtor to receive a certain amount for commission. Now, typically during a transaction, there are two realtors. There's one on the seller end and one on the buyer's end. Usually we only have to deal with the seller's realtor. And if they are requiring that they get a certain commission, we usually give them what's normal, which is 3% of the purchase price. Next, we have the HUD or settlement statement. Now, this is a document that you are going to want to review if you are either a transaction coordinator or a disposition manager, or if you're flipping these properties and actually buying them yourself. You want to make sure that you are reviewing the HUD or settlement statement. The reason I say that is because this is where all the numbers and information are to be reviewed before we close on the property. So on the settlement statement, it'll list, how much you are putting up on your end, how much the seller is receiving, how much the assignment fee is, and all this information wrapped up together. So you want to make sure that you're going to receive your correct assignment fee, and if you have to put up money, you want to make sure that all the details are correct, so last minute you don't either owe too much or pay too much. So next, we have daisy chainer. Now, the daisy chainer is somebody who is either posting or sending out other people's deals. Now, they are not direct to seller, they are just working either with a wholesaler or are just receiving these properties and sending them out to their buyers list. Typically, we don't like to deal with daisy chainers unless we are actually buying them ourselves. This word is important when dealing with buyers. You want to make sure that you are vetting your end buyer, making sure that they're not a daisy chainer, making sure that they are not going to go and send your property out, end up getting backdoored for some reason. So you want to make sure that you are vetting all your buyers so you don't run into daisy chainers. Now, for the last one, we have JV, which just stands for joint venture. And this is when you agree with another party that you are going to work together on a deal. A lot of people that are just starting out in the game don't have the biggest buyers list, but they know somebody that does. So they'll hop into a joint venture contract and allow that other party to sell their agreement or assign their property to one of their buyers because they're willing to pay more because they have that buyer's list built. Now, JV contracts, you want to make sure that you are reviewing all the information, want to make sure that you're clear on how much the split is so you don't get screwed over, and you want to make sure that you are also vetting the person that you are going to hop into this JV contract with. Now, if you have any deals that you want to sell yourself, make sure to DM me on Instagram. I'm always buying myself and I have a huge national buyers list, so feel free to reach out if you have any deals that you want to sell because I am buying and I am selling. All right, guys, so that wraps it up for this video today. Real quick, I wanted to bring up the giveaway that I am currently doing. If you watched my most recent video, I discussed how to enter the giveaway, what's included in the giveaway, and when I'm going to actually drop this giveaway. Now, one of the biggest things that I'm including in this giveaway is up to 5 tickets to our Freedom event that's going to be live here in Scottsdale, Arizona on May 7th and 8th. Now, this is an event that you really don't want to miss. There's a huge lineup for speakers, including Max Maxwell, Sean Terry, and recently added Ryan Pineda. So you don't want to miss this event. You want to make sure that you enter this giveaway so you have a shot at getting a free ticket As I mentioned, I'm giving up to 5 away. So make sure you check out that video, enter the giveaway so you don't miss out on that. Also, make sure to like this video, comment below on what you want to hear next, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day. See you guys on the next one.